Life is never easy. We always find ourselves fighting against something, whether it's ourselves or other people. The trials life throws at us can sometimes be rewarding, but other times it can leave us questioning why we went through that to begin with. We're always stuck questioning our paths in life. Is it destiny? Was this predetermined by some mysterious entity? We don't know. We find ourselves fighting and fighting through everything, struggling along the path that we believe we are carving. With every choice we make, a struggle awaits. Berserk is a story about a man named Guts, who is no stranger to the struggles of the world. But there is one thing that he never does, and that's give up. This is the life of a struggler. Guts' personality changes drastically from the start where we first meet him to the end. When he is first introduced, we see a man filled with hate and anger, a cold-hearted, merciless human being. And we wonder, what could have made him like that? We always find ourselves asking that question when it comes to characters who are violent and filled with rage. We believe something had to have happened for them to turn out that way. Well, in Guts' case, something did cause this. We quickly learn that the way Guts acts is nothing more than a facade to hide away the pain inside of him. The trauma Guts has endured early on in his life helps us realize that maybe he is justified in the way he is acting. Life was never easy for Guts, and the odds have always been stacked against him. He was born from a dead corpse and found in a pile of blood, abused by the one man he saw as a father figure, and raped at a young age. He was forced to throw himself into the life of a mercenary just to live. He eventually joins the Band of the Hawk after years of being alone and going from battlefield to battlefield just to make a living. He joined the Band of the Hawk. Years later, he finally found a family within the Band of the Hawk. He became a valued comrade among them. With this, he gains the will to carve his own path in life, to find meaning beyond fighting. He even goes as far as to fight his best friend just to find his own dream. Evidently, he overcomes the effects of his abusive childhood that always haunted him. Through his relationship with Casca, Guts was able to learn how to love himself and others. And we see this throughout the Golden Age arc when he shows concern for his comrades during battle. You can see how upset he gets when his comrades get hurt, or maybe even if some of his comrades end up dying. When he finally lets Casca in, we see how much he's changed, because he was never the type of person who would be able to love another person because he never received love as a kid. So to him, he didn't know how to express or receive love. But because of Casca and because of the Band of the Hawk, he was able to learn how to do that. Guts is always changing throughout his life. For example, after the eclipse, he becomes a sociopathic maniac hellbent on killing every apostle. And a large part of his character came from his hatred for Griffith and the God Hand, and all he wanted was revenge for taking everything he ever cared about. And after that point, in the Golden Age arc, after the eclipse, we see that his character does a complete turn. When he was younger, after the point where he left Gambino's side, he was just an empty shell of a person with no emotion and only knew how to kill. When he joined the Band of the Hawk, he finally started to build himself almost and learn about the different emotions that he can feel from other people, and learn how to love and love other people and things like that. And he was able to grow to the point where he wanted to seek out his own dream just so that he could be seen as equal to his best friend. But after the eclipse and in the later parts of his life, that completely changes, and now he goes from that to just being completely just overcome with the anger and hatred inside of him. And it completely changes his character, because now that's who he is now. It's just someone who's hell-bent on killing every apostle, on revenge, on everything, and not thinking about the important thing, which was Casca still. Because again, Casca was the most important thing to him, and he lost sight of that because he left Casca's side for a year or two before going back because all he was doing was just killing everything, because he couldn't take that he let his comrades die. He couldn't take that he let what happened to Casca happen. He couldn't take that, and being with Casca was a reminder of that. And he just couldn't deal with it and didn't know how to deal with it anymore. So the only way to deal with it was to go out and just start killing the apostles and killing demons and things like that. And that was the only way how he could cope with it. But in the end, he chose Casca over his revenge. He learned to open up to people again and let people inside him again after closing his heart to the world that took everything from him. As the story goes on and as he goes through life, almost having to start again and build himself up again, he meets new comrades, he opens himself up to them, is concerned for them, learns to care for them, learns to trust them, and he accepts his comrades and shows love for his comrades as time goes on, and eventually he just ends up choosing Casca over his revenge. You know, they even went so far as to go into Puck's homeland to try to get her sanity back, and that's all he cared about, was going there. It wasn't about Griffith anymore. He did have his run-ins with Griffith where it would trigger his anger and he'd want to fight Griffith, but ultimately his goal was to get Casca's sanity back and make Casca better. And so he chose that over his revenge with Griffith. There's a lot you can learn from a character like Guts that just goes beyond just anime and manga. Moral of the story here is to never give up no matter how bad things get or what happens. Obviously, Berserk is just on a whole different scale, and the world is completely different, and obviously with all the demons, zombies, all that stuff, it's super unrealistic and things like that. But if we just look at Guts' character and just look deep down inside of what he does throughout the series, we can learn something and take that as a lesson. At the end of the day, no matter what Guts went through, he still pushed forward and kept living. He refused to die and didn't want to kill himself and just kept moving, even if at times he was lost or didn't know what to do, or if all he wanted was revenge. He learned that maybe revenge wasn't what he needed. Life is going to be hard and things are going to happen that make us want to quit, but Guts never did. The biggest theme in Berserk is causality, the principle that everything has a cause, and whether or not free will exists. Skull Knight and Void agree on the concept of determinism, the doctrine that all events, including human action, are ultimately determined by causes external to the will. But Guts doesn't care and fights against his own destiny. Guts is a testament to free will because he goes against everything. Even though Guts has become a better person, his mistakes haven't disappeared, and neither has his tragic past. He hasn't just moved on from his past, it's still there. The brand is his daily reminder. He continues to fight every day and refuses to be controlled by his inner demon. He doesn't overcome his trauma, he is constantly fighting against it. He struggles through his life even after everything that's happened, because with every good day there's a bad one. With every good experience there's a bad one. Where there's light, a shadow is lurking. That's what it means to be a struggler, and in the end, we are all strugglers. People who live life struggling to get by, but yet we still move forward, continuing to live.